Hey everyone, welcome to this lecture. So in this section we are going to discuss regarding the Palo Alto firewall licensing, dynamic updates, and its device software update process. Um, so licensing is one of the important topic. So for example, you have got a PAVM that is running, and once you've logged into the web UI of it. So first thing to verify is you have got a dashboard tab. So when you have the dashboard tab, you have got the widget selected, and let's say the general information widget is selected over here, right? And you can see that normally if it is not licensed, you will not find the serial number over here. So currently I have licensed my firewall, so I can see a serial number over here, right? And I can see it's a VM 50 series type of a VM firewall. Right now, more into it is when you go to the device section, right, and when you come to the management interface or the management tab. So in the management tab you see there are a lot of informations given. For example, the general settings, where you can go and change the host name, configure the domain name, login banner, your time zone, your automatically acquire commit clock, etc. Right, you've got device certificate and authentication settings, different settings for panorama. So if you are going to manage this particular VM from the panorama, so you can do that over here. Secure communication settings and different banners and messages you can configure. Right now, exactly right over here, if you look for the interface tab, right, interface tab, so make sure that you've got a management interface first of all, and you can see that the management interface has got an IP address defined statically and the gateway, and this is the services that has been defined on the management port, the network or the subnet which is allowed to access the management port, it's also defined here. So all things looks to be good. The most important catch is make sure that in order to license it, ensure that the management interface of the Palo Alto firewall should be able to reach internet, right? So there has to be make sure it is there. To check that, you can click on device under service tab. So you can see that, hey, you've got the DNS IP configured over here. This is the URL to reach the Palo Alto update server, updates.paloaltonetworks.com, and you can verify that by doing a ping. So ensure that you have got ping to host, which is www, or you can just type the URL updates.paloaltonetworks.com. The exact keyword should be pings host updates.paloaltonetworks.com. Yeah, looks good. Right, so you can see that you're getting the responses from that Palo Alto update server, which means that your reachability to that update server is there from the PAVM. Now to check that, there is a feature called a service route configuration. You can click on that and you can say that to reach all the Palo Alto services, it will be using the management interface for all. But if you want, you can customize that, and these are the list of services that we have, like autofocus, CRL status, dynamic DNS, panorama, post updates, external dynamic list, DNS servers, right, Palo Alto network services, right, which we are talking, panorama, etc. Right, so if you want, you can actually click on that and you can change the source address. Let us say you want to reach it via your external interface, so Ethernet 1/2, that's the external IP address. You can do that, right? So yeah, you can take multiple ways of dealing with it. So this is a service route configuration. Let's say I'm using the management interface for all for time being. Yeah. Now to license this particular appliance, licensing, I'll explain you what are the different types of licensing that you can go for. So first of all is on the device tab on the left hand side, scroll down, you can select this licenses option over here, and you can see that my Palo Alto VM right now, it is licensed. It's ready for showing all the respective demonstrations. So it is a PA VM. It has got a standard VM eval license given to it, and the different license features that has been enabled with this are the bright cloud URL filtering, global protect gateway, PAN-DB, that is Palo Alto Networks database URL filtering, SD-WAN, wildfire license, global protect, support license, threat prevention license, advanced threat prevention license, DNS security. So yeah, all those features are right now enabled at this particular VM level. Now on this next gen firewall, you can see on the bottom right that you can retrieve the license key from the license server. It means that if you have generally organizations will have it's login to the Palo Alto support portal. So when you attach your VM to that particular portal, then if your VM has got access to the portal via internet, then you can click on this retrieve license key from the license server, and you will be able to do that. Right, as of now it's fine. So it will be actually timed out because there is the attachment is not there. So yep, so you can, other options are activate features in the authorization code. So if you have got the authorization code, you can click on this, enter the authorization code, and you can license the firewall, or you can manually upload the license key. You can deactivate the VM, or you can upgrade the VM capacity. So in case of Palo Alto virtual versions, virtual editions, you have got multiple VM types like VM50, VM100, VM300, VM700, and so on. So yeah, you can upgrade those VM capacity as well, provided your physical hypervisor or the base bare metal supports the respective hardware hardware support. Like for example, it should have a capacity for RAM, capacity for CPU to support the upgrade of any VM capacity. All right. So with that in mind, you can see that once my device is licensed, right, we can actually go ahead and talk about the different license features. As you can see right now, what are the different license features that we have? Let's just note down certain key points for all of you here. So licensing plays a very vital role, as I've told you. So without licensing, there are a lot of network security features or functionality within the Palo Alto network next gen firewalls will not be supported. So there are three main license types that you can enable. Okay, so let me write down that for you. Three main license type. So these are basically your evolution license, your perpetual license, and your subscription based license. Should remember that, right? So these are my three different types of licenses that is available. So evolution license, as the name says, it is a temporary trial license for doing some sort of testing. Perpetual license will give you lifetime access to the core firewall functions, and subscription based license is basically it's a recurring license for advanced security features, right? So as the name says, this is going to be for trial or any sort of POC type of environment, which will have a very limited period of time, let's say 30 days or 60 days, right? Depends. Perpetual license is basically it's a lifetime, so you'll get a lifetime licensing done for the device. And subscription based is it's a recurring license, right, which is basically required for any advanced security services. Okay, now as I've told you, Palo Alto firewalls, they come up with a base software package, right? All of you know that. But to unlock the advanced security features, you will need additional licenses. So licensing will ensure that businesses can scale their security as per their requirements. So for example, there are a lot of features that your Palo Alto firewall should have. Features like your stateful firewalling feature, right? Features like VPN, which is based on either IPsec or SSL. Features like threat prevention, features like wildfire, this kind of the sandboxing environment, right, to protect your 0-day prevention, URL filtering, global protect, this is for remote access VPN client, okay, which is used for your remote access VPN, DNS security, advanced routing services, for example BGP, OSPF, etc., right? Some of the examples that I'm writing here. So now let's say if your firewall has what all things will support with the base package, right? So if you have base package, so with base package your stateful firewalling will be supported, right? So this is supported via the base package. Okay, base will support it, so no need to license specifically for stateful firewalling, right? VPN, IPsec VPN, SSL VPN is supported by default with the base package itself. But if you talk about this threat prevention, right, it needs either subscription license or perpetual license, okay, or evaluation license, okay. So the whole idea is it needs license, it will not be part of your, it needs licensing, okay, it needs licensing. That means it will not be part of the base package. Likewise wildfire, it needs licensing, okay. I will just say NL, right? So it needs licensing. URL filtering, it needs licensing. Likewise global protect, DNS security, right? So these are all the features which needs the help of license, but OSPF BGP can be there with your base package itself. Now as I've told you regarding evaluation license, so this evaluation license will allow the users to test your firewall features before purchasing the real firewall or the real gear, right? So it is the time limited, and often it will include the most of the available security subscriptions. Generally it is valid for like either 30 days or 60 days. It includes threat prevention, URL filtering, wildfire features with the eval license. It is generally used for your lab environments on a proof of concepts and for doing some demos, but you cannot extend this license time period once it is expired, okay. So yeah, so regarding perpetual license, as I've told you, perpetual license provides full lifetime access, and it is going to be there without requiring any sort of renewal. Any sort of renewal packages are not required. So it is a one-time purchase feature, and it includes the basic firewall functions such as VPNs, NAT, virtual routers, but no advanced security features like threat prevention or wildfire will be available. So if you want threat prevention, advanced threat prevention, wildfire services, etc., it needs support licenses for OS upgrades, right? And regarding subscription based license, as I've told you, so subscription based license enables advanced security features and requires annual or multi-year renewal, okay. So this needs annual base subscription, or might be a multi-year renewal will be required for renewing it, right? So with that you can get the features, or you can license your product for threat prevention like IPS, antivirus, anti-malware, wildfire. So basically it's a cloud-based zero-day malware analysis, URL filtering, which will control the access to any malicious websites. You'll get features for Global Protect, which is the remote access VPN client that is going to run on your endpoint devices. DNS security, which will prevent any DNS based attacks. SD-WAN services if you want, so for getting SD-WAN, which will optimize network performance over WAN network, right? So all those things needs subscription based licenses, right? So wildfire, threat prevention, URL filtering, SD-WAN, etc. needs licenses. So yeah, as I've told you, you can use the CLI, or you can use this under device. You can under licenses, under license management, you can use those respective options to retrieve the license key for your device. Or you can use the CLI as well, where you can go ahead and give the command on your CLI, which is request license info, right? And you can see what services are currently running, or which features are currently enabled with my license that I've activated for the product. So to summarize, as I've told you, evolution license comes up with a duration of 30 to 60 days. It gives you all the advanced security features. It is ideal for lab testing or for POC. Perpetual license, it is there for lifetime, but it will not have advanced security features. But make sure that you need to, along with the perpetual license, you need to go with the subscription based license, right? So which will give you the advanced services, advanced threat prevention features as well. So make sure that being an administrator, choosing the right license depends on the business needs and security requirements. Make sure to select the appropriate licensing model to maximize your firewall efficiency and protect your network. So make sure that you have got the right knowledge regarding which services are required, and based on that you license your or go for the right type of license for your device. Now over here you can look for, once the device is licensed, then you can look for dynamic updates. So same place under device, on the left hand side, scroll down to the menu options and you'll find dynamic updates. So you can see that the different versions that we have for antivirus, applications and threats, Global Protect, device dictionary, wildfire. So you can go for schedule updates as well, right? If you want, you can run this particular updates at a particular schedule, either hourly, daily or weekly, right? So that you don't have to worry about this to automate the an update process, or to download or to get the latest update for, or latest patch for the respective versions of services that you're looking for. So now let's say if I do a check now, to check for any new releases for antivirus or any applications and threats, databases. So you can click on this check now button, or you can upload it if you have already downloaded that file, or you can install from your file as well. It needs a bit of time, so it will contact the update server and check whether you have any latest version released for the respective components. Just give it a time. Yep. So the one that is listed on the bottom, so you can see it is 5096 5615. This is 5097 under antivirus. This is the latest one. So what you can do is the type is full. You can see the release date, okay, when it is released, and you can see the release notes. It's always recommended to go with the release notes, read its particular features that is available, right? So these are the new antivirus signatures that has been configured for, right, or it has been added to this particular patch. And yeah, so you can just go ahead and read those release notes. Then you can go ahead and download it, So click on the download button. Again, it depends on your the size of the memory that you've allocated, and also your internet bandwidth speed for the download to happen, right? So the download is in progress now. Let's say I can close this, and this will be there in my task section. Likewise, for application and threads, I can download my latest version for application and threads as an example, right? Yep. So you can see that the download is in active condition right now. You can close it. So those will be there in your task section that you see. Okay. So if you look for in the command prompt, give the command as show jobs all, you can find out that what jobs are currently running. These are the different jobs ID that you have, and you can see the type it is currently downloading, and what is the status, right? You can also look for show jobs ID and give the ID, say 13, and you can see for this respective job ID number 13 what is the current status that is going through. Okay, so you can see that, hey, this is downloaded, the file is getting downloaded, so its status, result is pending, etc. If any warnings or any details about this particular job, it will be given here, right? So okay, so when it is installed, when it is downloaded, then you can see that it is downloaded, that tick mark will be there, and then you can go ahead and install it, right? So your device will have this version of antivirus installed, the local database. So let's give some time for this to happen.
Attention working professionals with 15 years or more of experience. If we gave you free 3 days
So you can see the installation is started, right, and it is going through. You can close the section, and anytime you need, you can open up the task section over here to get the status info, right? Okay, so let it do its process in the backend. Then you can go ahead and check the software tab, right? The software that is currently available, software version. So let's look into that. Just give it a sec. Okay, so you can see that the different software versions that is available. You can click on check now to check the latest release of the software. I can see as of now it's 11.1.4 edition. It's been there, but if I do a check now, I'll see the update versions as well. Currently I'm running with the version which is, if I look for in the dashboard itself or in the CLI, so you can see when you hover your PAVM icon, you can see the software version is 11.2 over here, right? Or in the dashboard, you can see the software versions given as 11.2, right? Also in the CLI, you can go ahead and type the command show system info, and you can see the software version which is currently at 11.2, right? So different places to verify what is the current PanOS version that you have installed, that will be available. All right, now regarding the software upgrade, if you want to do, okay, so for example, you're running with certain version over here, right? So let's say that you are running with version 10.0. okay, so you are running with version 10.0, so 10.0.0.0. now this is, or just a second, so we have the term as major update, right? So which is 10.0.0. That's the major update. Now let's say there are certain patches which has been 10.0.1, or might be, let us say, 10.1.0, 10.2.0. those are my different patches that has been released, right? So 10.9.0, and from there, let's say I've got another major release which is say it is 11.0.0.0. okay, so if you want to upgrade from 10.0.0 to 10.1.0.0, you can do that, right? You can do that. But if you want to upgrade from 10.0.0.0 to another release, let us say to 10.4.0.0, right, you need to check there is something called as an upgrade path. So there is a document you can search in Google, right? Palo Alto network firewall upgrade path. So it will guide you that, okay, if current release is at 10.0.0.0, if you want to upgrade to 10.4.0.0, whether you are allowed or not, right? Whether you can go direct, or might be you have to switch to the minor versions, and then you can go to that particular edition, right? So yep, similarly, if you want to upgrade from version 10 to version 11, right, you need to make sure you need to follow that particular upgrade path documentation, and then read that, and just find out which particular version you need to upgrade first, and then you can switch to that particular version 11. okay, so this is normally you need to follow it whenever you are working with any sort of OS upgrade. So if you look into that device, right, under device you have got the software. So you can see that you have got a major edition of 10.1.0, and you've got some patches for 10.1 version over here, and then another major of 10.2.0, right, and then you have got 10.0 some editions, then you have got 11.0.0, right? So you can actually go ahead and just Google something regarding your Palo Alto upgrade path documentation, right? So you can read down those particular upgrade paths. So if you are at 10.0.0.x version, so basically 10.0.x x anything like 10.0.1, 10.0.2, those will be your patches, right? This is a major version. So so you can, it says that download and install the latest preferred PanOS 10.0 maintenance, release and reboot, download PanOS 10.1.0, right, and then you can proceed to upgrade the firewall to 10.2. okay, so that means from 10.0, if you want to move to 10.2, you should upgrade your firewall first to 10.1.0. okay, so likewise you have to follow this particular upgrade path documentation to make you understand which are the consideration that we have. okay, another one regarding this is, I want to tell you regarding this panorama, right? So if you are maintaining your or managing your firewall through panorama, that means you have got a Palo Alto firewall that you are managing it through panorama. okay, so ensure that this version dependency is very much important, right? So ensure that your panorama version should be greater than or equal to the Palo Alto version. So if your Palo Alto firewall is running on version 10.0.0, panorama version should be equal to 10.0.0 or anything higher than that. So it should be, let us say, 11.0.0, possible, right? But if your panorama version is, let us say, 9.0.0, this is not going to work. So any downgrade version, panorama cannot go and manage the higher editions of your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so ensure you know about this particular term as well. Okay, so I hope it is clear as of now. So if I go back to the software, so you know that these are the process to check now, and you can validate the download, you can look for the release notes, right? And you can validate that particular image, and you can download this image and then you can install it. Okay, following the upgrade path documentation. All right. Alright, so moving on, now let's say we have got this local user database. Now what does it mean is, if let us say your Palo Alto firewall does not have any user management related applications like Active Directory or Okta, or might be Azure, or any sort of Active Directory functions, right? So in that case, you can manage or create the users on the local DB itself. So you can rely on this local user DB users. You can add a particular user. Let's say I give a name as, say, John as an example, right? And let's say I configure some password for this user, enable that, click on OK. Let's say I create one more, say Jacob. Okay, and next what you can do is you can these users are normally created to work for any other configuration, like when you are doing authentication profiling for remote access VPNs, or might be for doing TechX, or might be for radius based authentication. Those will be required, right? So, or doing any sort of user ID based concept, this will be required. Okay, so let's say you don't have any other external authentication databases like radius servers or TechX servers. In that case, you can leverage on the local user DB over here. You can create the user group. Let's say I create a user group called as, say this is security department. Sometimes uppercases are not taken, so I upfront I create that, and you can add those users to that particular department that you've created. Okay, so yeah, you can see that the department name and the users that are part of this particular department. You can do those commit, right? And you can validate those commit as well. Yep, so let's say it will be doing the validation, let's say, but I do commit completely, so I validate and commit all together. Okay, let me close that and let it run in the queue. Likewise, when you click on setup, so you have got the different tabs as we have discussed earlier, right? Authentication settings tab, policy rule based settings tab, logging and reporting tab, right? And we will be discussing about this upcoming videos as well, right? So make sure that where to get those information respectively. For example, for general settings, for device certificate, for authentication settings, right? For example, when you click on authentication setting, let's click on that gear icon. Here you can go ahead and create the authentication profile, right? And you can call that user under that authentication profile. Call the certificate profile, call that API keys, create the session count information. So a lot of advanced things that you can create. So we'll discuss that in the upcoming lectures as well. All right, so last piece, let's say regarding this config audit tab that we have. So this will actually define that which are the versions that were actually been configured or committed. So you can see that I've got currently there's an committed by administrator, and I have got 3 running config. So you can see these are my, I can download the XML file about that running config, right? And how many object changes that has been taken place, right? What are the committed versions that you have over here? Okay, so if you can see that what all object names that were configured, and object type, when it was modified, etc., etc. So a lot of you can see granular details over here, right? Yep. So you can see merged running config or previously merged running config, informations as well. Let's say if I go with the committed version, the latest committed version, which is this, so you can actually download this XML file and see the latest committed versions that has been taken place. All right, so regarding administrators, admin roles, authentication profile, we will be discussing in the upcoming lectures. So I hope as of now you understood how to license your product, what are the different aspects you see, what are the different types of licenses you have, right? And one last thing that I am kind of remembering now is, let's say if I go to the device section over here, and if I go to the setup section over here, right, under operations, this is one of the section that you should be knowing about. So where you can work with your configuration files, right? So you can save your candidate configuration. So for example, I can click on this, I can save this candidate configuration, right? I can, so it is named as config save to .snapshot.xml, right? So I can load any named configuration snapshot, right, where I can do that. I can export my device state, I can import my device state as well, right? I can revert to my last saved configuration, or I can revert to my last running configuration, right, if I want, right? So yeah, so all those things are part of it. You can also learn this in the upcoming videos as well. So we'll do some examples regarding that. You can also reboot the device, shut down the device, look for the device history from this device operations tabs, and you can also set up custom logos or configure SNMP setups, SNMP version like v2c or v3, define SNMP community string, etc. from here, right? And we'll discuss regarding SNMP in the upcoming lectures as well, right? So yeah, I hope it is clear so far. I'll be seeing you in the next lecture with more suitable informations. Thank you for joining, and please practice the same. If any queries, we are here to assist you. Thank you.